Yesterday, RTE aired a piece that can only be described as shocking in relation to the provision of assessments of needs for children with a disability. Figures released by the HSE show that there are 3,850 children right across the state with a disability or a suspected disability that are overdue an assessment of needs. Children with the signs of autism make up a large part of this number. And you know, Minister, under the Disability Act in 2005, any child suspected of having a disability is eligible to apply for an assessment of needs to identify their health requirements. You will also know that such an assessment is legally required to be completed within 6 months of the application. But nearly 4,000 children are being denied this right, Taoiseach, and they are being failed by the Health Service and being failed by your government. The parents of children in this situation are at their wits' end. They are desperate to find out why their children are displaying such symptoms, and they are desperate for a diagnosis so that their children can access the services that they need. But they are not the only children that are being failed by the Health Service, Taoiseach. Others are being treated disgracefully as well. And I want to talk to you about Sophia McGuinness. Sophia is a 12-year-old girl. She has scoliosis and cerebral palsy, and she's been waiting for surgery for almost a year and a half. On Tuesday, Taoiseach, her father, Aaron Daly, delivered a letter to you where he outlined Sophia's case, in addition to the plight of another 188 children in need of spinal surgery. Sophia is one of more than 50 children who don't feature on the scoliosis waiting list because they have had their surgery suspended. Her father says that the waiting lists are an exercise in manipulation. My colleague, Louise O'Reilly, recently met with Sophia. It was heartbreaking, Taoiseach. Sophia can't speak, but through her eyes she can communicate via assisted technology. And the first thing she said to O'Reilly as she went to visit her in her home was, "I am in pain." And children like Sophia are living in agony. Their parents are exhausted from battling the system. They're worn out from fighting for their children's needs day in and day out. It is a battle they shouldn't have to fight. No father should have to come to Leinster House looking for a meeting with the Minister. We all watched in horror, Taoiseach, when RTE aired their programme last year, Living on the List. It gave us an insight into the struggles that are faced by these children and their families on a day-to-day basis. In the aftermath of that programme, Minister Harris gave apologies and he made promises that were broken again and again and again. So I ask you, Taoiseach, when are you going to do right for Sophia and the other 188 children that are waiting for spinal surgery? When are you going to do right for the 3,850 children who have got a disability or suspected disability that are legally entitled to an assessment of needs but are being failed by this state as a result of it? And will you ensure that Sophia's father, who travelled to Leinster House on Tuesday to meet with the Minister, has that meeting, that Simon Harris meets with the father and listens to the agony, to the pain, to the trauma, to the upset that that family has had to go through, which represents the same situation as many other families in this state?
Yeah, Deputy, I met Sophia's father on the way into government buildings on Tuesday and spoke to him about it. I experienced some of the frustration that I'm sure you have experienced also when speaking to him, and the pressures that he and his family and his daughter are facing as a result of waiting for surgery. Can I just respond by outlining that the long-term strategy to develop sustainable scoliosis services from 2018 has been prioritised by the Department and the HSE in the 2018 HSE National Service Plan. An additional €9 million has been provided to the HSE in 2018 specifically to develop paediatric orthopaedic services, including further increased access to scoliosis services. The Children's Hospital Group continued to progress the move towards the implementation of a long-term sustainable and safe paediatric orthopaedic service, including scoliosis services for children and young people. The Children's Hospital Group published the Scoliosis Redesigned 10-point action plan in July, and an orthopaedic implementation group has been established to oversee its implementation. The action plan was developed through the participation of professionals, families and advocates. Importantly, this has ensured that the voice of the children involved has been incorporated into this plan. The action plan contains commitments that the HSE and Children's Hospital Group will, in 2018 and beyond, maintain the 4-month target, which is international best practice for all patients who are clinically deemed to require surgery now. In 2018, the Children's Hospital Group aimed to deliver 447 procedures compared to 321 in 2017 and 224 in 2016. The 2017 figure rises to 371 when 50 outsourced procedures are included. Activity to the end of August showed that the Children's Hospital Group have delivered 279 surgeries, of which 135 are spinal fusions. Activity levels in the year to date are running slightly ahead of target. And so progress is being made here, Deputy, and it will continue to be made, and we will continue to put funding as necessary into these services in order to get back to where we need to be, which is to meet international best practice standards in terms of waiting times, so that we don't get the kind of hugely emotive and difficult stories of Sophia and many other families who are traumatised and being damaged by the inability to date of the state to provide the kind of services that they should be expecting.
Concordia, as I said, Sophia doesn't appear on this list because, as her father said, these lists are a manipulation. Her surgeries has been suspended, so she doesn't appear in the figures that you're presenting to the House. But what is real is that Sophia and other children like her are in pain. In pain today, in pain tomorrow, in pain until this surgery is provided. What we do know is that Minister Harris made a commitment back in 2017 that no child would wait longer than 4 months for surgery. Sophia has been waiting for a year and a half in pain. And this is something that we can lift collectively her pain from her if we make sure that we have a system that is fit for purpose and doesn't allow children like Sophia to go month after month after month after month living in pain and the agony in relation to the condition that she has. So the questions I have for you is when and what assurances can you give to Sophia and the other 188 children who are waiting for spinal surgery? Her father, you did meet with him, and he wants to meet with the Minister. And I'm asking you, will you give that commitment that the Minister will do the right thing and meet with him? He shouldn't have to attend the gates of Leinster House trying to flag down a Minister, and I appreciate that you stopped for a moment to talk to him. But there are things that he wants. There are proposals that he has put forward. For example, opening the theatres from 3 to 5 days a week. He wants to ensure that the ICU beds are there so that his child can recover properly. These are measures that can be put in place, but the government are failing these children, breaking their promises, and as all of this goes on, children are waiting and are suffering in pain.
Thank you, Deputy.
Could I say to the House that I understand that Sophia's family have a meeting in the hospital today? And can I say that in relation to waiting lists, and I didn't give figures, but I will. Waiting list figures for the end of August show that there are 188, of which 109 are spinal fusion patients on the waiting list for spinal surgery, of which 90 are actively waiting, 14 are Cummins, which means that they have a date for surgery, and 40 are suspended, and 44 are on a planned procedure list. This is a reduction from 299 last year, but it's still far too many. I'm sure many of us in this House have worked with families with children with scoliosis who need spinal fusion procedures, who need rod extensions, and who are waiting and shouldn't be waiting, given the fact that they are growing and need those extensions as they grow. So, Deputy, I don't need to be told how difficult this is for families. I've worked with them, and so have you. What we need here is a system that can provide services for all families in a much more effective and timely manner than is currently the case. and the Minister is setting about doing that and prioritising it in terms of policy change and financial commitment.